entered by various patients in the logbook. Oh, good afternoon, doctor.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, we were just talking about Mr. Harding's relations with his wife.
Whose wife? Oh yeah, I see her.
Where?
Mamma mia, una papona, la figura de una dia. Maffa olangare.
God, what I wouldn't give for that man's eyes.
Dr. Spivey has awakened from his stupor and is staring at McMurphy. He puts on his glasses for a better look, takes them off and turns to Nurse Ratched, who calmly extracts a folder from her basket and opens it.
McMurphy, Randall Patrick, committed by the state for diagnosis and possible treatment. 35 years old, never married, a history of drunkenness, assault and battery, disturbing the peace, repeated gambling, and one arrest for rape.
Not statutory.
With a child of 15.
She said she was 17 and she was pretty willing.
A court's doctor's examination of the child.
Doc, she was so willing I had to padlock my pants.
Our new admission, doctor.
Murphy obligingly takes the folder from her and passes it to Dr. Spivey, who puts on his glasses and starts reading. In the silence, Dr. Spivey clucks disapprovingly, chuckles at a spicy bit, whistles incredulously, and generally runs through a repertoire of reactions as McMurphy beams on him. He looks up to find all eyes on him.
It seems you've no previous history. Any time spent in any other institutions?
Well, sir, including state and county coolers.
Mental institutions.
Nope. This is my first trip, but I am crazy, Doc, I swear it. Here, let me show you. That other doctor at the work farm. Oh yeah, here it is. Repeated outbreaks of passion that suggest the possible diagnosis of psychopath. Wait, he explains it, Doc. Psychopath means that I might fight and fuck. Oh, excuse me. How did he put it? I'm overzealous in my sexual relations, Doc. Is that a real serious? I mean, you ever been troubled by it?
No, Mr. McMurphy. I'll admit I haven't.
That bit about fighting, I can understand in a statement. Don't overlook the possibility that this man might be feigning psychosis to escape the drudgery of the work farm. Well,
I am interested in this statement. Don't overlook the possibility that this man might be feigning psychosis to escape the drudgery of the work farm. Well, Mr. McMurphy, what about that?
Do I look like a sane man?
Perhaps, doctor, you should advise Mr. McMurphy on the protocol of these meetings.
Yes. One of the first rules is that the patients remain seated.
Oh, why sure, Doc.
You see, we operate on the principle of the therapeutic community.
The which?
Therapeutic community. That means that this ward is society in miniature, and since society decides who is seen and who isn't, you must measure up. Our goal here is a complete democratic ward, governed by the patients, working to restore you to the outside. The important thing is to let nothing fester inside you. Talk, discuss, confess. If you hear another patient say something of significance, write it down in the logbook for all to see. Do you know what this procedure is called?
Squealing?
No, group therapy. Help yourself and your friends probe the secrets of the subconscious. Bring those old guilts out into the open.
What guilts?
Well, you have them or you wouldn't be here.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm beginning to catch on.
Excellent.
Like this dream I had the other night. Could you maybe tell me what it means? You see, it was like me in the dream, but then again, it wasn't me. I mean, more like somebody that looked like me, like like my daddy.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's who it was. It was my daddy for sure, because when I saw him, I mean, he had this big iron bolt through his jawbone like daddy used to have.
Your father had an iron bolt through his jawbone.
Yeah, a regular Frankenstein.
Oh, fascinating. I don't believe I've ever heard of a similar case.
If I may suggest, Doctor, Mr. McMurphy might learn best by example. According to notes entered by various patients in the logbook, Mr. Harding has stated that he was uneasy when walking with his wife on the street because of the manner in which other men stared at her. He has further said, quote,
"She damn well gives them reason to stare," unquote.
Yes, he has also been heard to say that he may give her reason to seek sexual attention elsewhere.
Well,
What reason, Dale?
I can't say that I've been notably ardent.
Do you mean sexually inadequate?
Maybe she's just plain too hot for him. That it, Harding?
I'll bet he's afraid of her.
Not afraid.
Okay, scared.
It might be fair to say intimidated.
Same thing.
I see Mr. Harding has also stated that his wife's ample bosom gives him a feeling of inferiority.
Why does he marry a broad with such big knockers to begin with?
I'll bet he's got a mother fixation.
I'll bet he was never weaned.
That's not so. I wanted a womanly woman, one who would not compete, but who would help me to,
She has commented, Dale, that she finds you less than masculine.
Yeah, like the way that you use your hands. How about it, Harding?
You chose a woman who was quite obviously your inferior. Don't you find significance in that?
Yes, of course, but I theorized. It seemed to me that sexually, at least.
Yeah, you're always saying she's such a good lay.
Yeah. What happens in the sack?
Complete psychic impotence. Why do I always cry?
Say, Harding, wouldn't it be a lot easier if you was just to come and admit you're a faggot?
No.
All right, knock it off.
Mr. McMurphy,
Leave the guy alone.
sit down.
Listen, buddy, you don't have to take this shit.
Doctor, I suggest we close the meeting.
Oh?
Close it until discipline has improved.
Dr. Spivey obediently rises and makes his exit. Nurse Rat
However,
from all. A happy chortling and sounds of male good fellowship as the ward door opens and Dr. Spivey and McMurphy enter. McMurphy has an arm around the doctor's shoulder and they are very chummy. In fact, McMurphy takes the doctor's key to lock the door behind.
Right, Doc? I mean, what do you think?
Oh, I say it's a charming notion.
A real blast.
Doctor, we have a meeting in progress.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Yes, we were just considering the matter of morale.
Why, that's exactly what we were talking about. And I made the suggestion. Or was it you?
Oh, hell no. It was your idea.
I suggested, well, what would you think if we were to have a carnival?
A carnival.
Right here, on the ward. Wouldn't it be fun? I mean, there could be games and booths and decorations. What do you think, man?
Oh, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
And not without therapeutic value.
Hell yes, lots of therapeutics in a carnival.
Scanlon could do his human bomb act, and I could do a ring toss in occupational therapy.
Myself, I'd be glad to run a skillo wheel. Hey, step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Try your luck. A bonanza for a dime, a prize on the spin of the wheel.
Ah, fine.
I could sell things.
I'm rather good at palm readings.
Ah, fine. But what do you think, Miss Ratchet? A carnival. here on the ward.
Well, I agree it might have therapeutic possibilities, but of course, it must be discussed in staff before a decision can be reached. Wasn't that your intention, Doctor?
Yes, of course. I just thought, feeling out some of the patients, but a staff meeting, certainly.
Also, Doctor, I recommend that Mr. McMurphy's request for a visitor, as he puts it, a Twitch named Candy Star, be denied until he becomes more familiar with the rules of the ward.
Mr. McMurphy showed me his request in my office, and I figured, since he's been here a week already, I signed it.
McMurphy and Billy share McMurphy's triumph. The chief has put the broom back in the closet.
I see. Very well. Billy Bibbit and his speech problem. Can you recall, Billy, when you first had speech difficulties? When did you begin to stutter?
The very first word I said, I stuttered, "Mama." And when I proposed to a girl, I flubbed it. I said, "Honey, will you till she broke out and was laughing.
Your mother has spoken to me about this girl, Billy. Apparently she was quite a bit beneath you. Was it that which frightened you?
No.
Then what was the matter?
I was in love with her.
Let me quote from your mother, Billy. She was a designing little slut who only wanted to marry my Billy because she...
No. She was a lovely girl that...
I got something to take up.
If you wish to speak, you must first be recognized.
You mean you don't know me?
I know you. I just don't recognize you.
Say, you got a hell of a problem. Would you like to discuss it?
Doctor, I wonder if we shouldn't discuss Mr. McMurphy.
In what respect?
Well, I have observed a definite deterioration of discipline since he arrived. Perhaps another form of therapy?
What you got in mind? Hooking me up to your little battery charger?
For your own good, Randall.
In a pig's gizzard.
I must say, Nuss, I agree with patient McMurphy. I find him quite lucid, quite in touch, and despite his past record, he has exhibited no tendencies towards violence, so I must conclude that electroshock therapy is not indicated.
Very well. If there's nothing further.
Doc, I got a little matter.
Doctor, I think that you should point out that the purpose of these meetings is therapy, and that these petty grievances...
Petty? You call the World Series petty?
The World Series?
Sure, Doc, it starts Friday. The big games, and you got this rule about looking at TV only at night. Okay, let's change it to the afternoon.
For therapeutic reasons?
Therapeutic as hell.
Or were you hoping perhaps to make bets on the games?
How about it, guys? You want to watch the series, Cheswick?
Why not?
Scanlon?
I don't know, Mac.
Mr. Scanlon, as I recall, you refused to eat for 3 days until we allowed you to turn on the set at 6 instead of 6:30.
The man needs to see the news, don't he? God, they could have bombed us clear to hell and it'd be a week before we knew.
Saying there's anything therapeutic about the news.
Well, maybe they won't bomb us this week.
Attaboy. All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hands. Hey, what is this crap? I thought you guys would vote on stuff like this. Ain't that right, Doc? Okay. Who wants to watch those games? What's the matter with you guys?
3, Mr. McMurphy. Just 3. Not sufficient enough to change ward policy. Now, if it's settled, may we terminate the meeting?
Yeah. Let's terminate the lousy meeting.
Dr. Spivey ran Ruckley in his usual position. The men are mumbling intensely among themselves. They break off as Nurse Ratched and Dr. Spivey enter, moving briskly.
May I, Doctor? Gentlemen, we have just come from the treasurer's office, and we have here a memorandum of extreme interest. It concerns patient Randall McMurphy.
Yeah? Where you got him? Up and disturbed?
No, Mr. Scanlon, he is in recovery room and will be back very shortly. This gentleman is a record of Mr. McMurphy's gains in the short time he has been croupier of his little Monte Carlo here on the ward. How much did you lose, Billy? Mr. Harding? I think you all have some idea of what your personal losses were, but do you know what Mr. McMurphy's winnings come to? According to deposits that he has made, over $300. I just thought it would be better if there were no delusions about his motives.
Miss Ratched, we never made any pretense about his motives.
That's right.
Said he was out to take us, and by God, he done it.
Mac!
McMurphy and Brondon are pushed into the room by the aides. Both stand slack-bodied as though they'd been wiped out by the EST. Then McMurphy snaps out of the shamming.
Stand back, you peckerheads. Here comes the champ, old McMurphy, the 10,000-watt psychopath. Howdy, buddies. Howdy, Doc. Miss Ratched. And here, ladies and gentlemen, right here in front of your eyes, the wild man who dotes on high voltage and eats 3 eggs for breakfast each and every morning. Huh?
Mr. McMurphy, we are in the middle of a meeting.
Oh, do continue. Who are we tearing up today?
Since you found it so enjoyable, perhaps a few more treatments.
Oh, please, ma'am. Look at the good few measly volts have done. I bet if we doubled the charge, I could pick up channel 8.
Doctor.
Miss Ratched.
I'd like to withdraw that suggestion as to further shock.
Oh?
Yes, I think it might be appropriate to consider surgical procedure.
Ma'am?
An operation, quite simple, really. We've had excellent record in aggressive cases.
Aggressive. Why, ma'am, I'm friendly as a pup, so there's no cause to do any cutting.
Oh, Randall, there's no cutting involved. We simply...
Besides, it wouldn't do no good to lop them off. I've got another pair at home, big as baseballs.
One moment, Doctor. I should like to return to the subject.
What subject?
The question of surgical procedure for patient McMurphy.
Yeah, not warranted, except in cases of uncontrollable violence.
He has exhibited violence.
Well, shall we say there was a sudden provocation. Oh, Miss Ratched, since you have brought up the matter in group rather than staff, I shall state my opinion. I do not approve surgical procedure in the absence of recurrent violence.
And if it should recur?
Then we may reconsider. Mr. McMurphy, I would bear that in mind.
Behave yourself.
Bradley
Murray.
Snedeker as Billy Vivet, Shaan Sharma as Scanlon, John Kassir as Cheswick, Willie Garson as Martini, Henry Ian Cusick as Dr. Spivey, Rodney Hicks as Aide Turkle, Nick Walker as Aide Warren, Jawan Jackson as Aide Williams, Tricia Lee Fisher as Nurse Flynn, Rachel Elise Johnson as Candy Starr, Kelsey Doherty as Sandra, narration by Jim Ald, and my name is Kevin Pollack. I played Ruckley. Thank you all for tuning in again. Please make sure to donate to the Actors Fund by going to actorsfund.org/NWBfest, and stay tuned for next month. Thank you all again.
Yay!